All right, by now, guys, you know I love talking about old wrestling. What you might not know is it's not my real passion. My real passion is helping people save money. My real passion is getting families out of apartments and into houses. My real passion is getting people's finances aligned so they can retire on time. I hated going to Walmart and seeing the greeter being 80 years old. She should not be working. She should be home. Why is she still working? Because she still has a mortgage. I want to help avoid that for you. The other thing I want to help you with, let's make sure your kids don't get saddled with student loans. If you've got a student loan, why did you get one? Maybe because your parents still had a mortgage. I'm not saying that to be funny. I'm being sincere. There's only so much money to go around. What I want to help you do is figure out where you are right now and where you want to be long term. And I do it at SaveWithConrad.com. I've been doing mortgages for more than 20 years. And during all that time, we've helped tens of thousands of families change their life. I mean, routinely, we're helping our podcast listeners save $500, $600, $700, $800 a month. But more importantly, get them out of debt faster and with cheaper monthly payments. But if you don't think it can happen for you, let me just tell you this. We are not the bank. We don't say no. We say not yet, but here's how. We're going to get you a game plan on how to improve your credit, how to save a little bit of cash, and how to get into that dream house. Maybe you're already in the house, but it would be nice if someday we could put a pool in the back, or one day we want to upgrade to hardwood floors, or remodel the kitchen, or get a badass master bathroom. I can help you do all of that with no money out of pocket right now at SaveWithConrad.com. You don't need perfect credit. You don't need money out of your pocket. And if we can't help you save some cash, we won't waste your time. Check it out, SaveWithConrad.com, NMLS number 65084, equal housing lender. And hey, y'all, don't take my word for it. Check us out. We've got an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. And as if that's not enough, go look at our reviews. Read them and weep, haters. ConradReviews.com. You'll see more than 1,000 5-star reviews. Our average review is 4.72 stars. Find out how much money you can save. Take control of your life in 2023 by taking control of your finances. We're going to show you how to keep more of your own money. If you've got credit card debt, what are you paying on that? 14%? 28%? You know you can do better. With the mortgage, though, you may not know this, the interest you pay is tax deductible. And we can even show you how to skip your next 2 house payments. So if you can get a lower monthly payment, pay your debt off faster, get a greater tax deduction at the end of the year, and right now, right after the holidays, skip your next 2 payments, buddy, this is the biggest no-brainer in the history of the world. Find out how much money you can save right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com, or hey man, shoot me an email directly, Conrad@SaveWithConrad.com.
Hey guys, need to call a quick timeout here. Wanted to tell your listeners what I've been telling my listeners over at OU didn't know for a while now about all the cool things happening over at adsfreeshows.com.
An all-new mailbag series debuts later this month on Ad Free Shows as we pick the brain of a man who has spent 40-plus years in the wrestling business. Longtime WCW and WWE referee Nick Patrick answers your questions.
Said Kurt Angle, where you get here on it? Or me on it ended up being my own blood. Austin had the title. It had those jagged edges on it, right? And they had a deal where Angle pulled me in and I took the belt shot.
A little bonus content comes your way, courtesy of The Kurt Angle Show. A dream match became a reality back in 2016 as Kurt Angle squared off against Cody Rhodes on the Independents. For the first time, Kurt watches back his match against the American Nightmare.
This kid's really talented.
He's selling the ankle here on the leapfrog, went down on it awkwardly. He's outside the ring talking to the referee. This is, like you said, all part of the match plan. Hey, start to show that weakness in the ankle.
Yeah. This was his idea to make it look like he hurt his ankle so that when he did lose, he had something to gripe about.
Ad-free show members have chatted one-on-one with AEW stars like Eddie Kingston, Dax Harwood, Ricky Starks, and many more, including a recent live interactive session with Renee Paquette.
He still continues to do that. He's on commentary in AEW. So I think it was cool for him to kind of put on that analyst hat and get to kind of test out those waters a little bit. But end of the day, it was a thing that I think made him feel like, you know what? Wrestling can be okay again. I can have fun in the wrestling space again. And now we have CM Punk Wrestling. So you're welcome.
That's just a small taste of what we got waiting for you. With 4 levels to choose from, see for yourself why ads-free shows is the best value in wrestling today. Sign up now at adsfreeshows.com.
The recognized symbol of excellence in sports entertainment.
We are broadcasting from the Blue Chew Studios. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code ARN at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. Hello and welcome to ARN. This is Paul Bromwell, and today I'm joined by the Hall of Famer, founder of the Four Horsemen, arguably the greatest tag team wrestler in the history of the business. Yes, I said it. And the man who's never said no, not even to Larry. Ladies and gentlemen, he's the enforcer. He's Double A. He's Arn Anderson. Arn, how are you this week, my friend?
And I did tell Larry no a few times.
Did you?
Just for the record. No, I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. How about you? Like that T-shirt.
I'm doing great. Hey, I like your T-shirt too, by the way. Look at that red, white, and blue. Looking patriotic, and that's a sharp shirt. Is that Box of Gimmicks or?
Bet your ass is Box of Gimmicks.
Damn, yeah. I need to find. I'm wearing that to my next July 4th picnic. Maybe Memorial Day and Labor Day. I'm wearing it for all those days.
You know, I would go and take another stroll through the T-shirt section of Box of Gimmicks. There's so many shirts that we put out real quickly that people have forgotten they're out there.
I'm telling you.
Really cool. Yeah, that's one of my favorites because it lets me know. And everybody out there, I am proud to be an American.
Listen, if you're not watching us on YouTube, first of all, you should at least subscribe and turn on your notifications. It helps Arn Anderson out tremendously if you do that. But if you can watch, should I say, check out, you'll see the shirt he's wearing right now. It's his face. He's got a killer mug on it of his face. He's making a face, but it's got the flag running down his face. It is so cool. I love that shirt, Arn. Very, very sharp. So do what he says. Go to boxofgimmicks.com. Check out not only the shirts, you'll see the Horseman jackets, Arn, and those hats. Talk about them jackets.
Very proud. There's a lot of cold months now still remaining. Double lined, really well done with the original Horseman logo on the front, right here on the chest, and on the back. And it's top quality work. We're going to have some people, just because nobody tells it better than the user, than the consumer. We're going to have some guys hopefully come on to the show and let you know how they feel about their jacket. I couldn't believe it when I put it on. Finally got one, the prototype, and put it on just how well it's made. And an all-purpose jacket, any sporting event, in the rain, you name it. It'll get it all done. And very reasonably priced. That was by design. So I hope a lot of people will get them that have been wanting them and enjoy them.
Wear them when you see Arn, and Arn will autograph the inside of it, even if you want to.
You
right?
bet I will.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yes, I will.
Or wherever you want. Listen, it was fun when I kicked over that little bit to you, Tell them, Double A. I kind of felt like the nature boy there, or Tully or one of the Horsemen, when I'm telling you to tell them about the Box of Gimmicks.
Well, if you made the mistake that they made and they said, tell them Double A, then I took all the rest of the interview time.
But we loved it. We loved it.
That blew up on their ass when they told me to take it.
Oh, it was good. Man, listen, check out the store. Check out the jackets. It is really a passion project for Arn to see that Four Horsemen logo come to life. He was able to secure that, and now for him to kind of be able to give back to the fans, and he hears it every show he goes to. We want some hats. We want some Horseman merch, and it's coming straight from the man, the founder of the Four Horsemen. So pretty cool stuff. Arn, listen, last week we covered a lot of ground in your career of August 1991, and it was a consequential month in your career. This week we're taking a break. That's right. Next week we're coming back for September of 1991. This week it's Ask Arn Almost Anything. Excuse me, I have a lot of fun with that. But, buddy, we received a ton of questions. And honestly, we're probably not going to get to them all this month. But that doesn't mean we won't get to them next month. We are keeping a running list. I work closely with the research guy, Little Andy, and we make sure that we keep track of all these questions. So don't you worry. If your question is not answered on this show, I guarantee you it will be asked of the enforcer. So, man, please continue when you see those social posts, or if you're a member of Ad Free and you see that Patreon post, keep throwing them on those postings, because Arn, you love interacting with the fans, don't you?
Yeah, and that's one of the things I get all the time. Or, hey, I've been wanting to ask you this for 20 years, and I'll answer it best I can.
Well, let's do it. Our first question comes from John Keaton, and he asked, did Arn ever meet the second most famous man from Rome, Georgia, Dan Reeves? Did you ever meet Dan Reeves, Coach Dan Reeves?
Dan Reeves is from Rome, Georgia?
According to John Keaton. Now, you asked me, so now I'm going to have to double check this. So let me throw it into my Google machine.
That I was not aware of.
I'm going to pull it up. We got the Dan Reeves Wikipedia, which we all love Wikipedia. He was born January 19th, 1944, Rome, Georgia.
Well, that was...
He grew up, so listen, he was born in Rome, but he grew up in Americus, Georgia. Have you heard of Americus?
Yes.
And he went to Americus High School, and that's where he played football, baseball, and basketball.
Okay, so he was just born in Rome.
There you go.
I think we got no disrespect to Mr. Reeves, but I think the Ray Donaldson, all-pro center, Dallas Cowboys, got a Super Bowl ring, who I played inside linebacker beside. East Rome High School, graduated in '76. He went on to play for the Georgia Bulldogs and was on the national championship team with Herschel. I think Ray is probably one or two, depending on if you're a wrestling fan or a football fan, and I don't know how you could discount Ray. Yeah, brother, you're talking about another athlete. Incredible. Played for Baltimore Colts for a long time. Went to Dallas Cowboys, got his Super Bowl ring there. And a tremendous guy, tremendous athlete. What a football player.
Have you ever met Christopher Reeves, Superman? Did you ever meet Superman? Not Dan Reeves, Christopher Reeves. Let's go there.
Well, hell no. And
Okay.
he wasn't really Superman either.
Oh, man. Okay.
Was he?
I mean, he was. Christopher Reeves played Superman. He was Superman and Superman.
But he's not Superman.
Not in real life. That was his gimmick in the movies.
But Ray Donaldson and I are real life.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was just going, since you didn't know Dan Reeves, I thought I'd try another Reeves, Christopher Reeves.
I knew who Dan Reeves was. Didn't he coach for
Denver Broncos?
Yes.
John Elway. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I thought maybe we could have another Reeves connection. You know a lot of famous people. I mean, you've told us some stories of how you met some other famous football players too.
Yeah.
Remember the time you told us how nervous you were to meet the big old boy that played for the Giants? You were with the Four Horsemen. Why is his name slipping me right now? One of the most famous
Lawrence
linebackers
Taylor?
of all time. Yeah, Lawrence Taylor. Come on.
Oh my God, if you watched him play football one time, the word animal, look it up, Webster. That's
It was him.
LT. Yes.
Yeah. Is LT probably the most popular NFL football player you've ever met, that you think?
Popular with the fans?
Just all-time great. Let's put it that way.
He was such a guy. He was such a tremendous talent that he could turn a football game completely on its head by himself. He could totally change the tone, change the mood, change the decision of an entire football game just by himself. I mean, when he would go on a tear, he was in the backfield, he would disrupt everything. And I mean everything.
You met him. You met Muhammad Ali. Is there an athlete or someone that you think, hey, that's probably one more guy or gal on my bucket list that I think would be kind of cool to meet? Or you don't really care about that stuff? anymore.
No. I mean, the thing about it is, I have utmost respect for any, whether they be actors, whether they be athletes, whatever the case, just, not so much, I'm not a guy that just ogles these rich guys that are able to buy companies and all that. I'm more of an athlete.
I knew you're a big fan, sports fan.
Huge sports fan, It's like we lost with the Atlanta Braves over the last season. We lost a lot of good players, ever since they won the championship.
Freddie Freeman went to the Dodgers.
Yeah. Our shortstop.
Yeah, he's moved on now, right, to the Cubs, I think.
I've got
Swanson.
Yeah, Swanson. I'm huge fans of those guys. Watching when he was at his peak, and I know this is a fair weather thing, but Reggie Jackson, when he had those incredible years with the Yankees where he hit 3 home runs in one game, and I mean towering home run shots. I'll just call it a mark for everybody that can do something that I had no way possible could do. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense. I mean, that's why we're all marks for wrestling. I mean, it's the same. We get it. We totally get it.
And I think all athletes, that's why there's so many pro football players that are wrestling fans, because, they're
That's
at
right.
the highest level. When you're in the NFL, you're performing at the highest level. And those guys couldn't wrestle, and they know they can't wrestle, and that's what makes them like us and respect us so much. And I think it's that way with all athletes. I met Gene Hackman.
Yeah, I love that story. When you were a bad guy, right? You were like some guys out here with his grandkid or something. You and Tully were in WWF.
Yeah. He brought him to San Diego. And knock on the door. Guy sticks his head in. Hey, there's a guy out here who's got his grandkids. Would you mind coming out and signing something for him? Well, yeah, sure. Walk out the door. There he stands, Gene Hackman. I like to throw it up.
Oh, it's so good. I love it. Listen, this is a fun question from Brian Fuller. He wants to know, if you had to have one of these great guys over for dinner, who would you choose? He was the last one that asked this dinner question, and no sold it. It was funny. Kirby Smart, Frank Reich, new Panthers head coach, Ron Rivera, or Vince Dooley.
Oh, wow.
Your face when I paused was priceless.
Wow.
Kirby Smart, Frank Reich, Ron Rivera, or Vince Dooley, that is.
Well, Vince Dooley was the coach back in that era. I'm talking about Ray Donaldson, and then winning a national championship with Herschel. Kirby Smart, this is current. He has made, I love college football when I know some of the players. And I try to watch every Georgia game that I can. And I'm a huge fan. And Kirby has really just took his crew of coaches and staff and players and turned them into something special over the last couple of years. And it gives me, along with the Braves win a couple of years ago when they won it all, because it's tough being a Panthers fan sometimes, guys, and I still am. I'm very loyal to him, but we need to make some major changes. But when you can watch the Georgia game and they're kicking ass, and you watch the Braves and they're kicking ass, because I'm from Georgia, I'm a homeboy, it makes for a lot of interesting afternoons. And most people can't sit through a baseball game on, say, Tuesday. I'll sit there and watch the whole Braves game, overtime. I don't care. Extra innings. Just love watching sports. We lost it for 2 years, and it made some of us.
Oh, I know.
Remember just how much we loved it.
So which one of the four, though, are you picking for dinner? Erin's going to make dinner. She's going to put on one of her amazing spreads. Kirby Smart.
I guess Kirby, because it's right now, and it's current, and it's...
Yeah.
He's
won a couple, won those big games lately, those big
championships. Not to cut you off, but, it would be cool to ask Vince Dooley. I played with Ray, and I watched Ray Donaldson make, granted it's a high school football game, but there were games that he would have 20 to 25 individual tackles because we kept up with it in the field house. We had a tackle board for all our stats, and they were mowing me down left and right, and he was making 20, 25 tackles, and he was such an incredible inside linebacker to transfer from that position to center, which he had never played, and be on a national championship team. I'd like to ask Vince Dooley, when you were recruiting Ray, how did you guys really feel about him? So I know because I played against him. You coached him. I mean, not against him, but I played beside him on the same team. I saw the impact he could have on a game. How was it to coach him? That'd be an interesting question. I'd love to hear that answer from Vince Dooley.
There you go. So it sounds like some Georgia head coaches would be on the invite list. Brian, great question. I know last month you wanted to know which of the McMahons would be over, and we found out none of them. My buddy Tony Flowers. Tony, great to hear from you, man. Love you. He says, I'm pretty sure I could be the biggest Ronnie Garvin fan. Huge Ronnie Garvin fan. He was my Hulk Hogan. We don't hear too many stories about Ronnie Garvin, the person, though, Arn. How was he to work with and be around?
Well, he was tighter than Dick's hat band. Ronnie hasn't spent 50 cents since I've met him decades ago.
Tighter than Dick's what?
Hat band.
Hat band, okay.
And I'm not even sure what that is.
I don't either, but we'll go with it.
It's out there.
Yeah.
So really talking about a guy that saved his money. I mean, he really did. And, my first time really meeting and being around Ronnie was, I may have met him somewhere, but was working with him in Jim Crockett Promotions. And I was the setup guy that was getting him ready to work with Flair. So I was getting to go around the horn, work 20 minutes, 25, sometimes 30 with Ronnie. And he just, for my style of mat wrestling and brawling and just the things that I could keep up with him on, it was a match made in heaven for me. I hope he enjoyed it. But neither one of us being a high spot guy, just being a guy that just slugged it out pretty much. It was a learning experience for me. It was a privilege. It was very physical. I mean, he stretched me a few nights with just using his legs. He wasn't even using his arms. He just was a very solid, believable, credible wrestler.
Guys, tighter than Dick's hat band. It's a thing. It's a Southernism, and it's an old-time Southernism that means tight. And I know because thank God for the Google machine on that one. I had not heard that one before, Arn. You popped me.
It's good. A real thing?
It is a real thing.
I knew I'd heard it, but the way we pass stuff around.
They said it's an old Southern idiom is what they called it. Idiom. So there you go.
That's an idiot comment, maybe?
No. But it means tight. Listen, during his time in the ring, Ron Garvin was known as the man with the hands of stone. His one-shot knockout power was truly something to fear and to behold. He pushed all his opponents to the limit, often leaving them winded and physically exhausted. And men, if it's been a hot minute since you could claim that your bedroom game was impactful as Ron Garvin's in-ring work, you need to look no further than our oldest and most loyal sponsor, Blue Chew, to make that gimmick rock hard. Isn't that right, Arn?
So it would be gimmick of stone.
It would be the gimmick of stone. There you go. Not hands of stone, gimmick of stone.
Let me do one of those. I'm a big fan of what ifs or so. And I haven't done any research. I haven't asked you, so this is a live question on the air.
A live round coming in. I love it.
What would happen if not only if we took a Blue Chew, but we gave our lady a Blue Chew?
If we gave our women a Blue Chew, what kind of effect would that have on them?
We both took one.
Huh.
Is there any science out there on that?
You know what? They might become tighter than Dick's hat band.
Maybe, and brother, that's a good thing, ain't it?
That'd be wonderful.
Definitely a good thing. We might want to put.
We're gonna test Blue Chew on our ladies.
Let's get some guys there out in the field to test this theory
Out in the
and
field.
let us know what's going on here with that.
Some of our listeners, if you guys want to pie the lady Papa Blue Chew and then let Arn and I know how it works out for you, let us know if they get tighter than Dick's hat band, which is now my new favorite phrase. I'm using it for everything.
That's a Q&A. That's great for one of those shows.
As one of those Ask Anythings, you guys can let us know. Let us know. Brian Haremza, you love to do research. Here's a research project, pal. Listen. Back to Blue Chew, they're our oldest and greatest sponsor of the Arn Show. And we want you to find out, not only does it work for you, does it work for the lady in your life? Listen, no doctor's visits, no awkward conversations like the one Arn and I are having right now. No, you don't have to walk in line and wait in line at a pharmacy. You know that already. And it comes in a discreet package. Sign up BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers. And once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. The best part, all done online. Man, I love this show. I'm just sitting here cracking up as I go through this. You don't have to swallow pills. No, you just chew them. That's right. Chew them down. And we know there's lots of reasons that you're having problems performing. You're getting into your own head. Maybe you got a little bit of maybe you got diabetes, like Wilford Brimley says. Maybe you got a little diabetes, whatever, and it just isn't responding like it used to. Blue Chew can help you. I'm telling you, it'll help. It'll like a pup tent, as Arn has called it in the past. And a tripod. So go to BlueChew.com. Blue Chew, you can try it for free on us. Use promo code ARN at checkout. Remember, that's what you'll be yelling once you get into that scene. You just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, and you'll be screaming ARN once you're there. And you can try 1 month for free. That's BlueChew.com for more safety info. And the only way I know to follow an ad read like that is to ask a couple questions from the first lady of the Arn Anderson fan club. That's right, Miss Amy Vaughn. She's back, and she said, "Happy belated Valentine's Day, Arn. I'm watching the Bunkhouse Stampede 1988, and I had some questions." Arn, this is the listeners that we have. On their free time, they're still going through a Peacock and watching the Bunkhouse Stampede 1988. That's some hardcore wrestling fans, isn't it?
It's the way it should be.
It is.
It is fine to be a wrestling fan.
I love it.
That's like saying if the 1964 Super Bowl was on the air and it was flipping channels, that I wouldn't pull up and watch that above everything else. If you're a fan, you're a fan. So thank you, Amy.
You know, one of the things that I think it gets lost on this, and that I think would be a cool fan experience. You guys obviously can't do this, but it's just like, you know, Arn Anderson and a fan, or me or whoever, we sit down and we watch old JCP stuff together, and just have a pizza and have some hoagies, have a steak, and just sit and be like, I want to watch a little bit of some of my favorite wrestling with a guy that was there. To me, that's like an experience of a lifetime. And we try to do that over at ad-free shows virtually. But man, it's just so cool to be able to kind of live this life and talk through this time period of some of our favorite fandom with you. So here we go. Let's jump into it. She has a few questions. Which did you prefer to participate in? The Bunkhouse Stampede or War Games? And she said, for this match at Bunkhouse Stampede, you're wearing a crop top. That's right, you're showing that midriff, blue jeans and cowboy boots. How hard was it to wrestle in jeans and cowboy boots? But before we get there, talk about it. Bunkhouse Stampede or War Games? You choose. Which one do you like the most?
I didn't like being trapped in a cage, double cage, with the Road Warriors and that crew. It's a death sentence. When you can't escape, at least as hard as it was to wrestle in jeans and cowboy boots, because the main thing is ankle support. Cowboy boots don't give you that. It was really, really wild and all over the place. And Bunkhouse Stampedes, we were fighting the crowd. For some stupid reason, we seemed to forget that there were a lot of people that really disliked us in the crowd by the thousands. And to go over the rail, put yourself out in no man's land, now you're in their territory. They're not in yours. It's not like when they come in the ring. they're on their own. Then it's when you go out there in the crowd, you're kind of on your own. But that's what bunkhouse stampedes were. It was 25 guys fighting all over the arena. I think I enjoyed that more than being trapped in that double cage.
Makes sense.
Because
you were always the first one in, pal, so you were in it for the long haul, too.
30 minutes in, buddy, I was sucking wind a lot of nights. And was, once you get bounced off that cage a few times and
bloodied.
Yeah, bloodied up, sweaty. It's and nowhere to go. You can't go anywhere where somebody's not trying to stomp your brains out.
Yeah.
It's not the best feeling on earth.
And she wanted to know how hard it was to wrestle in jeans and cowboy boots.
Tough. This was prior to the skinny jeans, stretchy. These were Levi's.
Yeah, now the jeans have a little bit of flex to them, right?
Yeah, more than a little bit, a lot.
Yeah.
Back then, it was just
cardboard jeans.
Plain old Levi's, buddy.
Yeah.
And
when you got a rise in your Levi's, you knew it back then.
No Blue Chew yet.
When
We're
the
not
Blue
there
Chew,
yet.
that's right.
We're not there yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Amy,
wrestling in jeans sucked. Got it.
Yes.
Amy also wants to know if you ever considered getting a tattoo.
I think people that have tattoos, and I don't know this, I just assume because most of my brethren have them, it's because something is very near and dear to their heart, and it's a message that means mostly something to them. So I haven't had anything that I needed to express that through a tattoo at this point in time. I think for everybody that has one, that's cool, whatever floats your boat. Because I think it's the meaning. If you start really paying attention to what's written or tattooed on someone's body, it has a pretty deep message. And I think having that with you every minute of the day is a pretty cool concept. Just not for me, because I hate pain.
I know, right? You hear about how painful it is. I don't have a tattoo either, Arn, so I don't know. Amy,
I'm a wuss.
I'm a wuss too. I am. I'm a wuss. Amy, maybe next time we do Q&A, you can tell us when you ask a question. Also, let us know, do you have a tattoo? And if so, what do you have? All right, let's make this interactive. Philip Lane is up next. Wants to know if you can update all of us on how Barry is doing with his health these days. Have you heard it all from Barry or talked to him or seen him at all lately?
Getting it third party that he is making his way back slowly. He's hopefully going to be much, much better as time goes by. It was a really, really bad scare. I know that scared the shit out of all of us as soon as we heard it. It was a very, very close call, and I think he's getting a little bit better along. I don't think he's in a position that he can travel or anything like that yet. So a lot of thought has went into Barry Windham and his condition, a lot of prayers, and we all appreciate that coming from everybody. I know the family does, and hopefully Barry will be up and around before we know it.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that, and I'm sure when he's feeling up to it, he'll be back out there with you guys on the convention circuit and signing autographs and taking pictures. And I tell you what, man, it really, these types of things are scares, but it also gives us an even more greater appreciation for when we do get to see and spend time with all of you and with each other. Who are we talking about? I mean, life, you can't take life for granted. You know what I'm saying, Arn? You just never know.
Cut on David Muir at 6:30, ABC, the news, ABC News with David Muir. Watch it every day because it's a constant reminder of things are happening in this world that are not small issues, and it happens something different, something. I mean, look at the stuff in Turkey that's going on in Syria with earthquakes. I mean, they're still pulling people out amazingly a week later that are still alive. But how many thousands are dead? I mean, we're not assured of tomorrow. It's not nobody's promising us that there'll be a tomorrow. Tell the people that you love today that you love them. Let them know and do something nice for a stranger.
There you go. Wise advice and good advice. Hazard F5. My buddy, by the way, he does some amazing belt reviews. He's a big time collector, has his own YouTube channel, does a great job. He has a few questions, and he says, Arn, what is the best harmless rib you ever heard of? Is there anything that comes to mind when you think of a fun, harmless rib?
Maybe super gluing a guy's shower shoes to the ceiling.
Okay. Now, do you remember, did you do that one?
No, I don't rib, and I don't want to be ribbed. But I saw guys get ribbed, and that always, because it's a pain in the ass finding a mop handle or something he can throw up there and knock them down. And I could never figure out how they got them up there in the first place.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking the ceiling, okay?
Yes.
Elegante, maybe Elegante put him up there.
Maybe he found something he could do, reaching up.
Yeah, George finally found a purpose.
Stick a shower shoe to the ceiling with some glue on it, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe he's the culprit that was guilty of that. I don't remember the time frame when I saw it.
There you go. He also wants to know, throughout your time as a wrestler and agent, at what point did you feel championships started to lose their value as a significant aspect of storytelling? Great question.
Repeat that.
He wants to know, throughout your time as a wrestler and agent, so throughout your career, at what point did you start to feel like championships were starting to lose their value as a significant aspect of storytelling?
When there became too many championships. There should have been a world champion, a IC title or U.S. champion that made you the number one contender for the world championship, tag matches, tag titles, and a women's championship. To my mind, that's all the titles that you need for a given company. Any more than that,
starts getting watered down and lost in the shuffle.
TV title.
Yeah.
Add that in. How could I not add that in? But that's definitely enough. I really don't think that if the U.S. title never had the luster after probably the Crockett days.
That working title is kind of like TV for the NWA, WCW, and Intercontinental for the WWF. Those were the working titles, right?
Yes.
And then you had your world titles and your tag titles, right? Makes total sense. And then you're saying add a women's title in, and we're good.
I think so. That's all you need. It seems to get watered down when you add more. You know, like you have two companies with, Raw and SmackDown. But still, you could just have one champion that floats between the two television shows.
Yeah.
It would make that title.
You basically have
more.
that now. They're just calling it Universal, Undefeated, all this nonsense. But it's one title right now.
Yeah.
Dakota, hey, great questions, Hazard. Thank you. Dakota Cohen asked about AEW with the following question: is there anyone in AEW that is currently not currently at the top of the card that Arn could see challenging for the AEW World Championship in the near future? So, Arn, is there a prospect or a mid-card, somebody that you say, man, they are a top of the card talent, and I could see them challenging for the world title in the near future?
I think if given a little more time, a little more experience, Will Hobbs.
Powerhouse. I love it.
Powerhouse Hobbs. He has all the athletic potential. He is a quality human being.
I've met him a few times. Nicest guy in the world. Great guy.
A beast. He can turn it up. He's explosive. He just needs to be in a bunch of matches with guys that have more experience than him, and he will pick it up just like that.
That's great to hear.
A lot of time for Powerhouse.
That's great to hear. And the only reason I chime in and say that is we know, guys, as you meet wrestlers, there's ones that instantly you become a fan of just because of how they made you feel when you met them in person. And maybe you weren't cheering as hard for them kind of beforehand. versus once you meet him and they have like it make an impact on you and you're like, man, I'm cheering harder for that guy now. He was one of those guys for me and my son. And so I love that you see that, also see that potential in him from his wrestling and his ability. And so very glad to hear that. Powerhouse Hobbs. And, I see they're doing the Book of Hobbs things. I don't know if that's what it's going to be that eventually gets him over, but he's built like a brick shit house, man. He is.
He's got all the tools.
Yeah.
He's got a level head. He just needs, he just needs reps. Reps are the key, guys, to this business. Reps. These guys that you see out there that are so good, the Brian Danielson and all these top shelf, Ambrose, all those guys, all the top shelf guys that you can perform. It's because they've had thousands of matches. Fans are looking at these kids out here on, on our show, AEW, and some of them have had under 50 matches. A lot of them between 50 and 100, and I'm talking about for their career. For us, that was 3 months' work. You'd do 100 matches in 3 months. And I'm talking live bell-to-bell matches day after day after day after day. No break, no day off. To where you start to get better and better and better.
Yeah, it's so true. Reps. And there's, word that AEW is going to probably start doing some more house shows this year. Yeah. And so there's more opportunities. So you hope to definitely be able to see that too.
Anything you can do to get practice under live conditions, scrimmaging under live conditions, get it, man. There's nothing more valuable than that.
I want to pause this episode of Arn to make you aware of something that Arn and I are really big fans of, and that's Jimmy's Famous Seafood. If you've not eaten there, then you don't know what you're missing. Check it out, jimmysfamousseafood.com. They ship food nationwide, and right now we have an offer for you. Free 2-day nationwide shipping on orders over $125. Now, that excludes steamed crabs and some fresh items, but $125. They have items like crab cakes, soups, chowders, oysters, signature steaks. I'm telling you, their crab cake egg rolls are to die for.
I get it every time I go.
When you use promo code ARN, just those 3 letters at checkout, you're going to be able to take advantage of that free 2-day nationwide shipping. They have several packages that make great holiday gifts, such as the famous gift box. That includes 4 of the world's best colossal Maryland crab cakes, 2 different crab soups, crab dip, seafood seasoning, and their signature base sauce. Or there's the tailgate bundle, 2 pounds of wings, a full rack of ribs, a pint of crab dip, and crab cake mix. Or you can create your own package, and boy, do they have options. They've been in business over 40 years. They've been featured in diners, drive-ins, and dives, and Bobby Flay, and so much more. So check it out, jimmysfamousseafood.com. Use promo code ARN, and you'll get that free 2-day nationwide shipping. Again, it's going to arrive so quick, fresh, ice cold, and you're going to be the hit of your next gathering. Take advantage of this offer right now, jimmysfamousseafood.com, promo code ARN.
Dustin King's up next, and he says, I hear a lot of my friends wishing that the Horsemen would have gone to the WWF in 1988. I don't believe that Vince would have done justice to the Horsemen, and you guys would have never been allowed to do the damage to the baby faces like you did in Jim Crockett. I'd love to hear your opinion on this.
He's 100% correct. The first night we walked out of the WWE arena, everybody in the building was doing this. We didn't know. We weren't told. So we did it back. Place went crazy. When we came back through the curtain, we were greeted and said, no more. Do not do the 4 fingers. Do not acknowledge it. Do not refer to it. He wanted to, other than build on that momentum that he already had, he had had a red hot commodity walk into his company. They wanted to just squash it and start over because it was not their creation. Now, how foolish is that?
Blows my mind.
It's like you're on Naked and Afraid.
Yeah.
You're trying to make a fire. Okay, the fire flames up. You get one ember and scoot it over here to the side and throw a bucket of water on the big fire. I want to do this on my own. So we'll stick with the ember. We're just going to throw the bucket of water on the fire over here that's flaming.
That I will say that's why it is a welcome sight to see that when they did bring Cody back as the American Nightmare with his music, it was an automatic push this time around. Because he built that brand, that version of Cody Rhodes, not with the WWE.
Well, might be who was in charge at the time.
It's true, but yeah.
What other reason could it be? Because it's the same story, just a different name that you put with it. He came in red hot.
It's just I think it was undeniable because AEW was now on a national scale. They are a national television, but again, you know how Vince likes to knock people down first before he lets them take off, and there was none of that with Cody. It's been push.
And it's common sense to you and I or anybody else. Ask 50 people out there what would have been the wise decision. Bring him in and call him something else and start him over with a brand new name and a brand new song.
No. Yeah.
How many times you say
what
that?
they did was the wisest decision. They finally got it. It finally clicked.
They got it right, and it's going to pay them dividends. It already has.
Yeah, he's selling the most merch. I mean, right now they couldn't keep his merch stocked at the Royal Rumble event. I mean, it's so, and I know you love him, and he loves you.
Yes.
He just said, and I will bring it up right here on air. He was in an interview on Logan Paul's show. He said, if you and Dusty could wrestle any two people in a tag team match, who would it be? And you know what he said, Arn? Rick and Arn Anderson would be our dream.
Tremendous honor, and I have no doubt we would have torn the joint down.
So good. Such a dream match, dream scenario for we as wrestling fans. Dustin goes on and he said, I also loved you and Larry Zbyszko together in 1991. Well, Dustin, we hope you're enjoying our coverage week to week right now of the Enforcers. He said, I know you disagree, but I think he would have been a great addition to the Horsemen in that era, replacing Sid Vicious. Arn, what are your thoughts? Zbyszko as a Horseman?
I think it was better just being part of a team because he would have had to have shared the interview time with 3 other guys versus just one other guy. And talking was one of the things Larry did really well. So we would split the interview time up. And being in the Horseman thing, it was a careful balance of interview time. And you have to have that in this business. If you can't talk, it's hard to get over to the level of superstar.
That makes a lot of sense, Arn, because Larry certainly liked the mic, and that's what he needed. He needed it. He was a heat magnet, and he would have needed his own time. So I get what you're saying. Scott Golden wants you to tell us what makes for a good wrestling commentator.
The little things, the details, like we talked about last week with JR. Pretty much, it's easy to show me the big things, but it's like a shot in the back of the head, a tag and a trip of the ankle, and hang on to a guy where he can't make it over and tag. And the little things to the naked eye that some fans would miss that wouldn't seem important, a guy like JR or Tony Schiavone could make important because they would tell you, point out, here's what you're seeing, guys. I know you see the big picture, but here's the little things that go into making that story what it is.
Absolutely. It's that play-by-play, real story feel. And I think that you're still able to accomplish that by moving the story forward. Sometimes I feel like there's so much promotion of the next event, the next match, what we have to come up here on the show, that you lose the detail of the match. It's got to be a balance.
Well, the worst thing in the world for me, if you're in there and you see it at home, you go back and see it at home, is don't be talking about other people's angle during my match.
I bet.
When I'm out there busting my ass and you're talking about 2 guys that aren't even in the match, you're talking about their angle. man, it's so disrespectful. It's so hard to keep the audience tuned into what you're doing.
That's right. I can imagine. Yeah, I mean, it's true. And I love that you said it's just looking through the eyes of an actual wrestler who goes back and watches what the shit that they put on, and then hearing what's being talked about while they're sitting there. Maybe they've worked on a move for a while. Maybe they did something that they thought was special and it get no credence or no mention. That's got to be a little deflating.
More than a little.
I bet. Well, listen, proud owner of an Arn Anderson Red Horseman jacket, Jeremy Priest. He's an owner. He's got one of those new Horseman jackets. Jeremy, he's going to ask a little bit about more thoughts on Cody. He said, "I'm just curious about your thoughts on Cody since his return and his big Rumble win, Roman versus Cody at WrestleMania for the title. Man, this is going to be good." Jeremy, first of all, I'll say, and I know Arn's going to say it, thank you for picking up one of those jackets. But Arn, he wants to hear your thoughts on Cody and his return and the Mania match.
I'm going to get a red one, too. I think that's a good choice.
I love it.
Red are sharp, man. They jump off the page. Here's the thing, and I just look at it as reality. Wrestlers have been jumping companies since day one. It's all about timing. It's all about, making the right decision for your family more so than anything else. Any guy that changes companies because his family, it is to their benefit, how can you say that that's a wrong move? I don't think you can. Everything has to be for your own individual achievement in this business. You are the product. You are what you got out there to present to the owners of companies, promoters, and hey, here's the product. This is the product. You have to take care of yourself, and you have to make decisions, and timing is everything in this business. And the fact we hated to see Cody go, I know I did. I was having a blast working with him and watching his growth and maturity from the day. Remember, I saw him day one. He walked in as a high school kid to one of the arenas and was looking around, and somebody said, "There's Dusty's, youngest son." And I remember that day clear as a bell. And I've seen his growth, and I've seen what's inside of his head and how he thinks about the business and how smart he's become. We want, or I want, and I know you feel the same way, Paul, so I'll just say me, just putting it out there. I want every wrestling organization that exists on this planet to do well and flourish, because it's what's good for the fans and it's what's good for the talent and their families. But it all comes down to it, it's about the fans, and it's about a guy being able to take care of his family, because the sacrifices that we make, our bodies are beat up beyond any imagination that you could ever imagine. I mean, we're beat half to death, and these are not injuries that go away over time. They get worse. Missing all of the holidays and all the events with our families, missing graduation, you name it, birthdays, Valentine's Day, you name it, Christmas, New Year's, having to work twice. You name it, every sacrifice that can be made has been made by guys and girls in this business. So hopefully Cody will have his moment at the big one. I hope so. Couldn't have a bigger opponent or a more over opponent than Roman Reigns, I think, at this point in time. Him and the Usos and that whole crew have done a great job about getting over. And there's a lot of interest in this story. So, best luck to Cody. I think Tony Khan has no ill will towards Cody or vice versa. It's just one of those things that happens. So, wish him nothing but luck.
I think it's okay for me to say this, Arn, whether you're standing in the corner with that Andy Reid clipboard or that visor, whatever, you had that little visor, the little, instructional
play sheet.
The play sheet, whether you have that with you and you're in his corner or not, Arn Anderson is always cheering hard for Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
And that's
well said.
There you go. Andrew Kella says, after Tully was sent home, did you ever speak to Vince about finishing up working only singles matches? I will tell you, Andrew, that we covered Arn's career in '89 in great detail in the archives. That should be a thing, but in the archives. But did you ever talk to Vince just to refresh our memories again about, hey, I just want to be singles, or was it, hey, let's automatically stick you with Aku?
No, I was fine with Aku. I loved it. He was the best friend I had up there, to be honest with you. And to be able to tag with him and work our dates against Demolition, finish our bookings on out was awesome. Loved it.
There you go. So now he was good. Tag team was good, and that's how he rode out of Stanford, wrestling as a tag team wrestler, and that was just fine with Arn. Our pal Jeff, I have yet to walk into a public library and yell, "Woo!" Fisher wrote. Literally, that's how his name. Did you ever work singles matches against Stan Lane or Dennis Condrey? I continue to enjoy the show. Hey, Jeff, thank you. Pleasure meeting you at StarCast last year. So did you ever work any singles matches against Stan Lane or Dennis?
I did not, Jeff, sorry. We never got a chance to have the match with Stan and Bobby in any singles form. Right after we shot the angle, we're building towards the one match. We only had, that match in Philadelphia where we switched the titles. So no chance for single matches.
No chance. No chance in hell. There you go.
It was over before we knew it.
That's right.
Before we knew it.
Heather Whitley is up next. There's some really, this is some good. So first, Heather wants to know if you could change one thing about wrestling today. You can change anything, just one thing. You can change it about wrestling. What would it be?
That's a hell of a question. That's a great question. Wow. If there would be more oversight or control or having the last word to tone down some of the moves that have such a danger factor involved with them. If there was things that you could actually look at a talent and go, for your own safety, which you may or may not believe, you're not doing that.
Don't do it.
You're not doing that, and here's why. And there would be an explanation why, a valid one, because I am so worried when I see some of the risk factors that go on our television every week, and just how dangerous some of the stuff is. I'm so worried that we're going to have major, major injuries occur that could have been avoided if we had a little more control over what guys did or didn't do in the ring.
That's well said.
Well, and I'm sure there's going to be people that are going to be pissed about it, in some way feel like that I am in some way trying to hold them down or hold them back. That is not the case.
You're coming at it from a heart of wanting to protect people's longevity and health.
I'm a father. I'm a guy that has beat his body up and can barely work or barely walk some days. Truth, can barely walk, can barely get out of bed some days, and I never came off the top or did any flips out to the floor or any of the stuff they've done. Use me as your model. A lot of days are really rough, and I had a very, I guess it would be considered mat wrestling style.
Conservative wrestling style?
Conservative style, very good. Conservative wrestling style, and I'm beat all to hell. I would love to just be able to protect the guys and girls from themselves sometimes.
Such wise words from a man who's lived it. There you go.
Been there. I'm there every day.
Yambag Jones, our buddy. I love Yambag. And he's back and has some hypotheticals that you love so much, Arn. This is going to be fun. I was doing a little pre-reading earlier, and I'm looking forward to this one. You ready?
Yep.
The first War Games match, it took place in 1987. Pick 4 guys from the WWF to square off against the 4 Horsemen. All right, who might be on that team? And I got some wrestlers' names for you. I'll throw out just to give you some ideas. Wrestlers on the roster: you had $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, Jake the Snake Roberts, Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, Ultimate Warrior, Andre, Demolition, Hart Foundation, Bulldog, Steamboat. Those are to name a few that Yambag threw us. Name 4 guys against the Horsemen.
Steamboat, Ted DiBiase, Jake the Snake, and
Savage?
Randy Savage. Now you got a match.
Savage, think about it. Savage and Flair. Ted DiBiase and Arn Anderson. You got Tully Blanchard, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. And then you got Jake the Snake Roberts, and it was Luger. Luger was in that 87, right? And he it wasn't Ole. Ole wasn't in the War Games. It was Luger.
Yeah.
Wow. There you go. That sounds like a hell of a War Games.
Now you got a match.
I love it, Yambag. Good question. Yambag also wants to know, who was the best wheelman you were ever around, and who did you know to never get in the car with? So who was the best wheelman that you were ever around?
Me.
Arm behind the wheel, baby.
I drove everywhere.
Did you ever ride with Shivani? Because I felt like Shivani always drove but he was probably with the other commentators, right?
I would ride the TV with him every now and then.
Okay.
One time he saved my life. I was sick as a dog, and he drove me to Greenville, South Carolina. It's not too far, but a couple hours. Man, I was sick, but usually I would drive. I just enjoyed it. I'd rather drive than ride. For me, I just enjoyed it more. So I drove. And I would never get in the car with the Steiners under any circumstances. Ever.
Was it Rick or Scott that drove for them, or they just take turns and both were shitty drivers?
They both took turns. And for example, we're going to Macon one day, and it's me and Bobby Eaton, and it's just 75 south is just straight. I don't know if you've been down that interstate, but it's just straight. And we're going to TV. It was right around lunchtime or right after 12 o'clock. Say it was 1 o'clock. There was no traffic on the road or nothing. And I look in the back and I see this little blip. I see it's a car, but it's way back there. And I'm driving on a little bit, and I look up, and damn, he's covered some ground. I'm thinking, oh, this has got to be a cop. Shit, he was sitting off the road because he's closing that distance too quickly. And I keep watching, and he keeps getting closer, and the Steiners just ran right up and just rammed us in the back. Boom. In our rent-a-car. And they had a rent-a-car. And boom. And then just went on around us, and they were both laughing their ass off.
They didn't give a shit that they just had a car accident?
Yeah, they did it on purpose.
Oh, my God.
What was I going to do? Pull them over and find some green grass? Are you kidding me? I'd have rather been in the car wreck. It would have been safer.
Oh, man. What a time.
It's
Unbelievable.
Crazy.
What a
the
time.
The business was so different.
It was. Francis Reyes wants to ask, we're going to do, I got 3 more questions, 1 from Francis, 2 from Eddie, and then we'll wrap this up. And like I said, guys, don't fret. Don't worry. We're saving your questions. We'll keep it going again in March. He wants to know, are there any food and drinks you enjoyed having internationally?
Internationally.
You were in Japan. We talked about that not too long ago.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Love the Japanese steakhouses. Incredible. That's probably top shelf.
Okay.
You know,
Ribera's.
We have them over here, yeah, but not so much. Ribera, the steak wasn't as good as the atmosphere and the jacket.
Okay. That's what I was curious. It seems like everybody puts them over, but is that just more of a jacket kind of thing, or is it like, what's the food?
It was good food, but it was not at the prices it would have been. What I've chose to go there, not sure.
There were some better joints, is what you're telling us.
Yeah, but they were so great. We were so glad to help promote them. And, wear
they
the
love the
jackets.
wrestlers. Yeah.
Yeah, when you wore the jacket around Tokyo and around, walking around, going to the gym and going to the hotels and all that, and to the arenas, you have some pretty strong advertising. Could you imagine the New York Yankees in their heyday walking in a restaurant with Ribera jackets on? Pretty good plug.
Yeah.
I like the fish and chips over in England, UK.
Okay.
I love lightly fried flounder. Good stuff.
Do you dip it in any side sauces or anything?
Nah,
or just straight?
Maybe a little bit of that malt sauce.
Yeah.
Malt sauce.
Yeah.
A little bit of that.
Malt
maybe.
vinegar. Yeah.
Yeah, malt vinegar. That's it.
Yeah, I hear you.
You're a pretty worldly guy there, Paul.
Well,
Good.
I'm well versed when it comes to food, Arn.
Yeah, me too. That's
I've
where
had a lot.
we're on the same page.
Me and you, we've eaten together. We broke bread together. We know. You saw the crab cake.
Ooh, yeah, colossal.
1 pounder.
The two 8-ounce wasn't going to be big enough.
You and Brock both looked at me like, you polish that one off. I said, man, I've been waiting for this cheat meal. It was so good. All right, let's get to Eddie. Heel in real life, an Arn Anderson superfan. Eddie Prather. He says, where would you rank Jerry Stubbs as a tag team partner? Eddie ranked your partners in the following order. He said Tully number 1, Ole number 2, Bobby Eaton 3, Jerry Stubbs, then Larry, then Barry. What say you, Double A?
Barry ahead of Larry.
Okay.
Just because we're partners longer. The only reason.
So he got Tully, Ole, and Bobby in that order. You like those
the
top
exact
3?
order that he's got, I just switched Larry and Barry.
Okay. Man, Eddie, you nailed it.
He did nail it. And Jerry Stubbs, let me tell you something, buddy. When we were partners down there, I was still learning, obviously. He taught me a lot. He was a polished worker. He looked like $1 million. He was practicing that tan gimmick. Living in Pensacola, he was out by the pool every day. He was dark, jacked. His gear looked really good, pastel colors and stuff. He looked like $1 million, man, and he could work his ass off.
Man, that's awesome.
Probably one of the biggest. He should have made more money than he did. Questions out there, but the reason was he wasn't willing to go and travel. He bought a nice little home. His wife had a nice little job there in Pensacola. He had a beautiful little house with a pool in the back.
Lived in paradise.
He was in paradise, buddy. He damn sure was, and he was smart enough to know it. And he wasn't going to move. He wasn't going to leave. And in those days, you just had to leave your family behind, and you go. Who wants to leave for 6 or 8 or 10 months?
And if his wife's got a nice little job, probably got the health insurance and all that squared away. You know what I mean? So
that's exactly correct. And
there
people don't. If you don't understand how important having insurance is, have knee surgery or neck surgery and see what the bill is and what would happen had you not had insurance.
So there you go. Eddie, and the final question for Ask Arn for February. Eddie also wants to know what pet peeves you had when you were traveling on the road. Did you have any pet peeves?
People in the left lane that wouldn't get over.
Hate that shit.
And there's no reason. And they would actually pull up. I started to see that they had to do it on purpose. If there was a car in the right lane, they would pull up beside them, and the two of them would just be coasting along and no way to get around them. Drives me insane.
Same. They call it the fast lane for a reason, boys and girls. The left lane.
It's the reason back in the day I did not carry a gun.
Glock Anderson would have made his debut.
Shot their freaking back window out.
Just the window, people. Just the window.
Over.
Just the window.
I'm just kidding. That's a little extreme.
It's fun. They understand.
They know I'm joking.
These people know your heart. Are you kidding me? You're the nicest guy in the world. And that is going to conclude this edition of Ask Arn Almost Anything. And listen, if we didn't get to your question, we promise Drew Landry, Nick Lenz, Brian Haremza, Rob Snyder, all of you, Brad, Brady, Brad Stanton, we will get to it in March. I swear and promise to you, we save these. But we have had an absolute blast this week with Ask Arn Anything. Guys, we can't do the show without all of you. We thank you so much for your support. Next week, we're going to continue the walk through the career of the Enforcer. Arn and Larry are going to win the tag team titles. Arn, the Enforcers, win the belts, and you're going to continue feuding with more up-and-coming baby faces, and we're going to cover the build, the Halloween Havoc 1991. Please continue to visit arnlinks.com for all things Enforcer. That's where you're going to find the social media sites, Box of Gimmicks, our social accounts, and all that good stuff. And make sure you check out ad-free shows. Those of you that are listening to our voices right now aren't a member over there. So much great content, whether it's the Gary Juster interview, you're fans of old David Crockett days and the Crockett, the Crockett era. David Crockett's doing a fun show over there right now called The Book with Conrad, walking through those original handwritten notes from Jim Crockett where they're booking the territory. So, again, check us out over there. Arn, I had a blast once again with you, my friend. Thank you again for doing it with me this week.
My pleasure. Thank you, buddy.
Well, on behalf of the Enforcer, Arn Anderson, this is Paul Bromwell, and we'll see you right here next week on Arn